I used to be afraid of you, but I don't think I am anymore.
There's nothing to fear except God.
For me, God is a disease.
It's the things that make you look at what you thought you saw in a different light. The hole in the Pentagon being too small for a plane. The lawn isn't mussed up. The government's not showing the plane hitting when many cameras photographed it.
There's nothing to fear except God. God. God.
Oh, if you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask?
It's too big.
Back and to the left. 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 Back and to the left.
Oh yeah.
What's up, everybody? Here we are. I'm sad to say that Austin was interning for NASA, and
Austin was caught at the Washington Hilton recently. No, sorry.
he was studying anti-gravitic propulsion, and Austin is dead. He was he died. Don't even look into it. No, that's a joke. Obviously, Austin was busy, but we brought on George
What's up?
just so that we could finally talk about the semi-recent Epstein documents that have come to light, and we had somewhat of a time sensitivity on this, somewhat not, just because it's so much to go through, and there just with this scandal, it's hard to figure out when to okay, let's do it. Like Pam Bondi getting just being a clown, it really made me think damn, we probably should record. But it's also you're damn, is this the first of 10 in a row? And then Trump starts the Iran war, and then everyone stops talking about Epstein for a minute. It'll bounce back into the news. But yeah, we wanted to come back on just because there has been a lot of developments in terms of just with the recent releases. And I don't know, this could be kind of our half of God's face tradition to talk about the ongoing state of one psyop after another in America.
Yeah, well, it's really weird because when Bondi got fired, I think we were texting or whatever, but that felt weirdly unreal. Because I think the other thing about it that we were talking before this, but I meant to bring up that it is it just kind of does keep getting weirder, the whole story, because when Bondi was in front of her jury or whatever,
She did the test, deposition or some
deposition.
shit.
Yeah, excuse me. I'm trying to remember the exact phrasing or whatever was proper. And she got grilled, and so many people knew that it was because it was just for an audience of one, which was Trump, and she was just very clearly protecting him. And then there was a lot of reporting about how he had told her do not release more so recently too. I think in the last couple of weeks there was one or two more articles that were he flat out told her just don't do it or slow it down, figure it out. So then when she got canned, it was pretty crazy because it was not something new, I guess, but it's in my brain you would think that this would be handled a lot more carefully from him, considering that this will never go away. This has been the thing.
Yeah.
They ran on it. I mean, we talked about this in every episode, I think. That it's it was a conservative issue to talk about Epstein and the connections to the Democrats, which I was going to bring up. I don't know if we probably did bring up, at least in the last episode, but the connections of Bannon to 4chan and the starting of Q is a crazy thing that people don't ever talk about recently, which is that was just a complete, and the word psyop has been overused so much that, I read it in a fucking Geese article last week or whatever. But a legitimate psyop is the idea, and probably what I believe happened is that Bannon was using 4chan and these Q drops to point all these other online conspiracy theorist echo chamber people to saying that the Democrats were the ones eating babies, and Trump's keeping his enemies, his friends closest, but his enemies closer, or whatever the phrase is.
Yeah.
et
So
cetera,
wait,
et cetera.
what is the
Yeah.
connection with 4chan again? Because I know that the relationship
So
between
yeah,
Epstein and Bannon has been a little bit more like exposed with the recent and then I think did you watch the interview that Bannon did?
yeah. Well, there's like hours of them, I guess, because he
Yeah.
did. It was basically like media training, from what I
Yeah, they only
understand.
released a little bit of it too. I think there's more.
Yeah, because Bannon said that he was actually making a documentary. So this is also confusing to me. I don't exactly know or remember or understand this part. But from what I remember and what I know is that he had all this footage and then also said that he was making a documentary about Epstein
Right.
and he was going to release it like after he died and all this stuff. But then, like after there was all this other evidence and there was all these other like things online and things pointing to that it clearly was like, yeah, PR training, like how
Well,
to
didn't
answer
Maxwell
questions
have
without a
like a
lawyer.
connection to like Reddit or something? Like
Yeah,
also?
she allegedly had a Reddit, or she allegedly had a. I forget now if it's a 4chan or a Reddit. Probably maybe both. Or no, there was one specific. I think it was Reddit. But there's emails between Bannon and Epstein, I believe, and like the founder of 4chan, where they're like, "Oh, let's meet and talk," or like I wrote down some notes, but I did not write that down. But that is definitely a connection, which is like
Oh
a thing
yeah.
that I'm just totally forget. But that is the basic idea of it. But I think even that crumb, uh, just knowing what we know about like post 2016 and like the Q
Mhm.
drops and like these weird like cabalic level imagery that was dropped in these like QAnon things, and like the Epstein being an early connection to Pizzagate and all this. It's like crazy that it like comes back now, and
Yeah,
there's the
it's
same
that isn't that
players.
bizarre? The
Well, because it's
Pizzagate
like it
shit, like
is,
the
yeah,
Pizzagate shit never goes away because it seems to be just like real. Like, and I was literally watching because I didn't even get through all of it either. I started watching some of Lex Wessner's testimony too.
yes,
And it is one of those things where you're like, okay, everything this person's gonna say is a lie.
it
So
completely fake, yeah,
it's not really worth watching in that regard, but it is still fascinating because I was watching him and just he was more uncomfortable with lying. Hillary, I watched
yes,
like hours of her thing.
yes,
She is like a professional. She is a professional. Like she is very convincing. But I will say that I don't think she's as dead to rights as Wexner. But connected back to this
yeah,
Pizzagate thing, the one moment. Okay, so there's a couple of moments in her testimony that was so fucking nuts, where she just was like yelling at because Nancy Mace clearly like hates her, and Nancy Mace like went after her, and she was like going back and forth with her, and then at one point, Lauren Boebert, she took a photo of Hillary during the deposition, and Hillary and her whole team
yeah.
like flipped out, which makes no sense because they're like, we want this to be like live so that everybody
Why
can
did she
like.
take the photo? Did they explain? Because I've seen the clip. I think you're talking about, but
No,
what?
so
What?
it's exactly what happened is Lauren Boebert took out her phone, took a photo of Hillary during the deposition. I think she sent it to like an influencer, and he posted it on like Twitter. And then Hillary Clinton just starts flipping out like, "This dog nabbit! Well, we can't deal with this till the dogs come."
This.
Whatever old ass shit she starts saying. Like she said something about the cows come home, and I'm like,
She starts
bro,
speaking backwards. She starts speaking in
yeah, her
tongues.
head rotates. Her head rotates 360 degrees.
The
Like this.
camera
Oh
cuts
no.
out. There's a shutter. And the time in the corner goes up by 20. It goes past 20 minutes.
No, but Lauren
Jumps in
Boebert, when
time.
so
Anyway.
she already pisses her off, and then she's literally looking at her, and I'm like, I'm like working from home, so I'm not watching like the video, I'm just hearing the audio, and I'll glance over and look at Hillary just like staring at whoever's talking to her, and she just is like, when you bring up Pizzagate, it's like you're literally like. I mean, it's like if
Yeah.
you said me or you like killed a baby. Like she knows what that is. Like if you're like,
Oh,
George,
yeah,
have
of
you ever killed a
course.
baby? And if you didn't, okay, here's the thing. I don't know, did or didn't do it. If you didn't do it,
I
I
will
would
say
be
very
pretty
quickly
fucking.
that in the last episode, I think you were like, one of us was like, I don't know how quickly we want to get into Pizzagate, and we did kind of glide right over it. But now we're just gonna have to get into the meat of this because this is
Well,
yeah,
because
like
Bobert, so first of all, the tone that Hillary takes is so nonsensical because Boebert, in her own way, right? I don't know that much about her, about like how like
Yeah.
she doesn't necessarily seem like that smart. I mean, none of the people really cross-examining Hillary really get her dead to rights. I think there's a bunch of times where I'm like, okay, I think you could probably really like lean in more rather
Mhm.
than just because she constantly says, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Like, I don't know this, I don't recall this. And it does get nonsensical if you're paying attention, but they kind of don't like, go at her. But whenever anyone asks like a really controversial question, she like flips out. And so she and her lawyers were so incensed that they brought up Pizzagate. And she's just like, I
Mhm.
cannot believe I'm being asked this question like today. But Lauren Boebert, she starts saying, like, did you read the emails and recognize the Pizzagate language? Which, again,
Yeah, because
I don't
doesn't
know
she
if
even
you're.
say like, "Can you interpret this as a word or something?" Maybe I'm remembering this
Yeah, she should have.
poorly.
She should have phrased it differently. But
Maybe I'm just wishing. Yeah, exactly.
she was trying to phrase it, and she just kind of like fucked up the phrasing. Where because the lawyers will just attack you, and it's so funny
Yeah.
because I think one of her lawyers was literally friends with Ghislaine Maxwell as well. But she would say all this shit. She'd be like, oh no, me and my husband, we ran the Clinton Global Initiative and we're doing this and we're saving lives. And then they're like, oh yeah, but you know, you gave Ghislaine Maxwell like an award in 2013. And she's like,
Yeah.
I don't have any memory of that. It's like, okay. Like
Yeah,
she's
like
like
motherfucker.
on
That's the yeah.
on one side of it, she's like trying to like brag about philanthropy. And then on the other side, she's like, yeah, Bill ran that,
Because yeah, I've
and
seen
I
the
had nothing to
bits.
do with it. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, because I've seen the bits where it's exactly what you're talking about. It's probably in that same chunk. Again, yeah, I did not see it in full, but I will someday. But the chunk that I think that you're talking about too is when she's talking about visiting Africa, and that's like when the first documented times of Bill
Yeah.
and Hillary each going to Africa and like allegedly shipping people back and forth, or
Well, yeah, that
minors
as
or
far
like
as like
whatever.
the Pizzagate shit, and then
Well, I think that's as far as like the Epstein thing happens in general, because there was like a 2002 article from like fucking see, I didn't write this down or anything, so this is just off of memory
no, it's
from like
okay.
Timer. Yeah, this is a war mode level, shout out. But like, it's fucking. There's some article that was from 2002 that I just saw recently, where it was like, like a portrait. It was like one of those like Coney Island like portraits of Bill Clinton and Jeffrey, and it was
Right.
like the mysterious money man that's helping the Clintons out in Africa, and it's like, yeah, I mean that's a documented thing. That's like been allegedly the first times that they were flying back and forth and going to the island and whatever. And he's the one that flew the most, I think. Out of
Oh
anybody,
yeah, no, he
I
flew
believe
like
that's true.
30.
I'm saying that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he flew like 30 times on the plane, and like no, because they not to just get hung up on her testimony, because again, there's
Yeah,
some degree of it where I think why I'm bringing up the Pizzagate element of it is that is way more like directly like it's like similar with Trump and the Epstein stuff or even Bill Clinton. I think Bill Clinton and Trump are more connected with being like really good friends with Epstein because I do kind of believe Hillary that she was more friends with Ghislaine,
yeah,
but she goes so far in saying that she doesn't
yeah. That she
remember
had no
ever.
idea.
She has no memory of having a conversation. She said so. At one point, they
It's like
go,
motherfucker. There's people who are his neighbors that like, it's like that knew. It's like if you were
yeah,
even
you
close
don't
to that
remember
dude,
ever talking about any of it.
that's
Like
insane.
they go,
Yeah,
yeah. So Ghislaine Maxwell went to your daughter's wedding. What happened there? And then she's just like, oh well, she was dating someone that was a longtime family friend. It's like, okay, but doesn't that prove that you probably would have known? And then
right.
someone later goes, your daughter went on like a vacation with Ghislaine Maxwell,
Yeah,
and then
they
she's
all
just
went
like,
right.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. She says so much crazy shit. There's another point where she says again, I just think she's like a professional and she's like young enough still where like Wexner is old enough where you're like or
Yeah,
Bill where you're like okay these guys are just whatever you're gonna accuse them of they're probably guilty. Bill,
yeah. They can't
it's
even
kind of just
remember, bro.
yeah,
Like,
it's kind of just obvious. I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu went to Bill Clinton in the 90s and he said, "You're having the Lewinsky scandal. We tapped her phone. You
Yeah.
should like be against a peace with Palestine." Like that literally happened. Like the Israelis like are on the record trying to blackmail Bill Clinton with the Lewinsky scandal. Like that's literally, I've heard that in
Yeah.
multiple places. So Bill is like, we kind of have a vibe with Bill. Hillary is not that stupid to like just be like dead to rights, but she starts like, her reaction to the Pizzagate thing is like, it's almost like
Yeah.
if someone is saying to you like 8 years ago, like a conspiracy theory, like, you know, oh, JFK was killed by the CIA. And then it's just like this snobbish kind of like, oh, I can't even believe I'm
Right.
being asked. And here's another bit that I wanted to bring up to you, and we'll move on because I think some of this is definitely very intentional. I do think the Clintons are dead to rights with some of this shit. But so she got asked very politely by a couple of the people, very politely, and it was good exchanges about UFOs randomly, just because they were interested in the
Hillary?
topic. Yeah, Hillary was asked by Burleson and Paulina Luna if like her opinion on UFOs, because it's documented in the UFO like conspiracy stuff that she had an interest in UFOs, and apparently I think this is connected to Pizzagate, that some of the Podesta emails, he was like talking about, like he was talking with like UFO like people, or he seemed to express some kind of interest in like aliens. And so they go, yeah, like, how about, so Burleson says to her in this deposition that, you know, Podesta had this interest in UFOs, and would you have consulted him if you became president to deal with the issue? And she said, yeah. And she was really polite about it.
Holy
She was like,
shit.
yeah. She was like actually kind of interested. And then after the deposition, she was like acting like it was like the whole thing was a nightmare. And she's like, they asked me about Pizzagate and UFOs just to give you an idea of how fucked up this was. It's like, okay. It's like you were
Yeah.
literally like, the
You were
Pizzagate thing you
entertaining it.
obviously hated, but that's crazy two-faced that you were like really polite and interested when, and it's an off the record question, and she like welcomed it. It was like a kind of a
Mhm.
interesting moment, and then she still turned it around like, these are conspiracy theorist right wingers coming at me. It's like, okay, the partisan thing with the Epstein stuff pisses me off because he clearly was a Democrat, and like he
Yeah.
was like a liberal in all these ways, but to say it like ends there, I mean, like, you know, the Sultan of whatever of the UAE is not a liberal. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
The guy who sent the
Exactly.
torture video, like
The
that
guy,
was one of
yeah.
the,
The guy that has the gnarliest and scariest emails is not exactly what
yeah.
you would say a bleeding
He
heart
asked about
liberal.
like the pussiness at one point. He wrote
Oh,
like, you know, like, just this guy is literally, and I think he actually did. He was like the head of like Ports World or something. There's actually been a lot of people that have left their positions, but no one in the government
yeah.
is like, okay.
No, dude,
Uh,
it's so funny because it's everybody outside of the U.S. It's like if there anybody in somewhat of power was related to the Epstein stuff or emails that had like a
yeah,
modicum
and
of
even people
power
in the
in the
U.S. are
EU
leaving if they're
or
just not in the government. Like
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
like, and
yeah.
so
CEOs are stepping down. Yeah.
they read this fucking list off to Hillary, and I think I texted you some of it. That this person, I don't know who asked her the question. They said, "Here's 30 different names of people. Have you ever discussed Jeffrey Epstein in any context with any of
Mm.
these people?" Right? And her whole vibe is, I never knew Jeffrey Epstein. I never heard of him. And it's like, okay, like you got to give us like at least with Wexner, he starts like shitball, like, you know, bullshitting and kind of making shit up, but also kind of trying to like be good at lying. And then his
Yeah.
lawyer's like, I will
I'll
fucking kill
fucking
you if
kill
you say
you.
another word. But Hillary is
Yeah.
just like literally like, she's like, no, like she's like a literal psychopath. She's like, no, there's no
Yeah.
evidence that I had any conversation with anybody.
She
So
doesn't give a fuck. I think she's doing like a Trumpian
a little bit,
method.
yeah. I think
Like, yeah.
she has enough distance from it that it's not. But you can also tell she's not as squeamish about like saying I've never talked about Jeffrey Epstein. Like she has
Yeah.
balls to say that. But they list all these names, right? Including like any number of people. One of them where I was like, okay, I don't know how she does this thing where she wants to make us all believe that she did a great job under Obama, right? But then somehow she like didn't know anything that was going on. She apparently, they ask her how many people were human trafficked in America when you were the Secretary of State. And also,
That's
by the way,
awesome.
does as the Secretary of State, is it your job to deal with human trafficking? And she was basically like, yeah, but from a foreign country standpoint, like I would talk to other countries about that issue and basically not America. But then they would kind of come back to it.
That's crazy.
And they said at one point, they said, one of the names was Kathy Ruemmler. And I really wanted to bring this up because this is one of my favorite like finds so far, that Kathy Ruemmler was like the White House counsel for Obama. And she was texting Epstein like about dating advice. She was asking Epstein like, what should I like do like on I'm pretty sure. And one of my favorite emails that I saw in the recent dump was she sent Epstein an email where she said, I got a secret CIA award by John Brennan. I got given a CIA award by John Brennan. Let me tell Jeffrey Epstein about it.
Who's John Brennan? I feel like I know the name.
This is like a fucking notorious head of the CIA. This is the dude who apparently was he was the head of the Saudi consulate when he was the station chief in Saudi Arabia where the fucking hijackers got their passports.
Oh, okay. Damn,
Yeah.
that's actually crazy.
Yeah, so you're the first person you tell about like, yay, I won a medal.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's bizarre. Yeah. Yeah.
So the email goes something like, so this is sent January 8th, 2015. It goes, John Brennan gave me the CIA agency medal. And then she puts in parentheses, the CIA's highest award this morning. And then she goes, how cool is that?
That's crazy. Yeah.
And it's like, what? This is literally, and then that's one of the names they bring up to Hillary Clinton. And it's like, okay. Should they bring up Howard Lutnick? They say like, did Howard Lutnick and you ever talk about Epstein? And she's like, no. And then, by the way, Epstein, like, literally, I think it was something along the lines of Howard Lutnick was, first of all, a Democrat, and he threw a fundraiser for Hillary Clinton in 2016 for her presidential election, and he invited Epstein.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember hearing about this.
Howard Lutnick invited Hillary Clinton to a fundraiser. Or, sorry, he invited Epstein to a fundraiser, and Epstein didn't go, apparently.
Oh, that's funny. Is Lutnick's one of the guys that also said that he only hung out with him once and then cut it off?
Completely, they got him dead to rights. Yeah, the guy that didn't show up to work on 9/11 and thousands of his...
dude, I forgot it's this guy.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Thousands, and Hillary's like, and I knew Howard Lutnick because he suffered a tragedy with 9/11 and his brother died. It's like, okay.
That's so funny. It's like whenever the same amount of bad luck. A lot of people around us suffer and die.
You know, me and Howard, we always used to talk about how unlucky we were. All my friends just dropped dead. No, they brought up Mark Middleton too. They brought up Mark Middleton to her.
Oh my god.
They're like, yeah, did you ever talk to Mark Middleton about Epstein? I'm just like, what? Like listening to this, being like, this is chilling.
Did they bring up what's his name from the 90s? The main guy that everybody loves, to Fisher.
Is it Max Fisher?
Is it Max Fisher? Whatever. It's also the guy that like Norm Macdonald jokes about. He's the guy that like they mention in the Epstein like makes a joke that him and Hillary had sex, and that's why he was killed. On top of like some other reason that he was like also leaving, and he might have known something else, I guess, is the implication. But there's like some email where Epstein is like, oh yeah, Hillary and Fisher, whatever. Dude, it sucks that I can't remember. It's whoever Norm Macdonald jokes about.
It might be. I mean, I remember them bringing up. They brought up a Fisher at one point where I was like,
Max Fisher, Vince. Oh, Vince Foster, is that?
No, it? Yeah, Vince Foster is like.
That's it. I think actually. Hold on. Yeah, I have my computer next to me. I believe it's Vince Foster. Yeah. So I think
Vince
that's
Foster
the guy.
Is the one.
Did they ask her about
all the Hillary body count? I think they did bring him up as well.
They have to, right? Because if they do that, they have to.
Well, that's where I get with it. Is sometimes I'm like, okay, these people are like not really going for it, and sometimes I would hear different names where I'm like, you're still not really phrasing this enough. Because again, the thing with Hillary that is like, and this is, I mean, who knows what a modern feminist thinks about Hillary at this point. But if you're gonna go from being the first lady to then being in the Senate to then trying to be the president, it's like, yeah, if your first Senate campaign, Jeffrey Epstein donates $20,000 to it, and then 30 years later, you're like, oh, I didn't know that. I forgot. I never met him. I never said thank you. I don't know if that's really a feminist icon, TBH.
No.
And then you're
Yeah.
gonna say, "Oh yeah, I was the first lady. I was super important, but I didn't know anyone that came into Bill's office. I didn't know any of them. I don't have any memory of it. Oh yeah, no, I was
Yeah.
Secretary of State, and I didn't know Kathy Ruemmler. I had no relationship with her. We never talked about Epstein. Like that's kind of the vibe she's giving, right? And then
Yeah.
she's like, "Yeah, I run the Clinton Global Initiative." It's like, okay, but
I mean,
isn't that
she's like,
like
yeah, she's working like, feet away from intelligence, or like in terms of like her job occupation, she's working next door to intelligence. So it's like if you don't think that she even knows the basic stuff that's going on in even her personal life,
yeah, she
give me
tries
a
to she
break.
plays
Like
innocent in this way that's like,
it's basically
oh,
she claims stupid. That like she basically playing dumb, and that's your same thing. Like that's your feminist icon. That's like, oh, yeah, I'm just being like, "No, I don't remember," like, "It's not my fault," 'cause like, it's like, that's crazy. How is that not worse? How do people not recognize that as way worse than just, yeah.
yeah, and I think people are kind of like over Hillary, but I think they don't really want to like
I don't
really
know, dude, 'cause
acknowledge.
I've seen Instagram reels where people, because I saw when she went into the deposition, the first like, day of, there's,
Uh,
like, like, those, like, slop AI, like, Instagram like Reels accounts that were posting some of them. Even like if the text on screen or like the animations or the VFX or whatever the narrative and the reel was like a gotcha on Hillary, the comments were so supportive of her. And I remember being like, this
no,
is very confusing to me. Maybe this is just my algorithm, and maybe this is just, like day of that it hit. So there was also like maybe it's recommending it to a lot of her supporters. Uh,
mhm.
and it didn't really get the crowd that really was gonna drive it up or drive engagement with it. But I think
Yeah,
it's
because I
weird
don't
because
know if
people
she's
still
like,
really like her. I mean, she's still like
I don't
considered,
know. I just
yeah,
think because she like lost is like where they might try to rally. But it really is a shame that she's like one of the OG masters of being like everyone is a conspiracy theory. Because I don't know, the craziest Pizzagate shit. We talked about this with Kieran a couple weeks ago, but I don't know because then Bobert says to her, "Are you aware of a file on Anthony Weiner's
yeah,
laptop called life insurance?" And then on it it says like frazzle drip,
yeah,
and her lawyers like it was like you like spit at her. It's like as if Lauren Boebert stood up and like slapped Hillary in the
yeah.
face. Was the kind of reaction they had. Which,
I mean, to
in
be fair,
fairness,
you are saying
it's a
it. Did you really
crazy.
eat a baby? Basically,
Well,
like,
I don't know how. It's hard for me to believe they like know about that as well. That's what's breaking my brain. Is if it was just a bullshit conspiracy theory, like has her legal team had to deal with this before? Like, I
probably.
don't
I
know,
mean, yeah,
because something about it doesn't really. Because first of all, where I get with it is I don't know, that whole story to me doesn't. So we talked about this, that like there are all
yeah,
these cops that saw the footage
yes.
on Anthony Weiner's laptop and they committed suicide. I think that's probably true. I think that Anthony
That's the
Weiner
craziest
and
thing.
I think a lot of this stuff is 100% true. And it's this again, that's what I'm saying with the double standard. That's why I'm like unfairly talking about Hillary in terms of feminism, just because she's literally connected to this thing that is real. Like there were
Yeah,
people that like abused children connected to Pizzagate, and she's calling it a conspiracy theory, and then she's saying Trump is like not looking at Epstein, which he is, right? But it's like,
yeah,
okay, but admit that like people were abused and like fucked up shit happened with
yeah.
Pizzagate.
Also,
It's uncomfortable because they're accusing you of doing this shit. But it's like the same thing Trump's doing with Epstein is like
right.
saying the whole
Well,
thing's fake. And you're like, okay,
also
that's not
we
true.
forget about we're forgetting about Russiagate also, which is
Oh
actually
yeah, of
sort
course,
of
Russia.
important
Yeah.
to this because so many people on the liberal side ran with that, and I even
Yeah.
remember as a liberal person in high school being like, talking to like my mother and my father and being like, I don't feel like this is real. There's like there's no like what are we actually like even then it was like the left. I mean this is probably a hack joke or whatever, but it felt like a liberal QAnon thing a little bit,
Oh
just
yeah.
like the equivalent of that, which
Well,
is
she
like
would have gone to war
it's
with
kind of more
Russia.
safer.
She
Yeah,
said that Trump. She said she liked what Trump was doing with Iran. And this is
yeah.
this is who people worship. People think of Hillary Clinton, and I say people. My mother, people love Hillary Clinton. It's just like she literally wanted a no-fly zone over Syria to shoot down Russian planes during the Syrian war. It's like this is crazy. And again, just to like get super black pilled on it, and I don't mean it in terms of Kamala Harris is a black person. I guess she is, right? But
Of
no, I
course.
mean
Well, yeah.
a person
Let's
of
not
color, but
deny. Yeah.
no, but like the black pill of who would be a better president is that Kamala was all in on the same Hillary shit of let's go to like all out war with Russia. And like I it just drives me insane that people I know don't really know that even happened. Like they don't know
100%.
that Kamala Harris she went to the Ukraine and she said join NATO after Putin says we will invade if you join NATO. And then there are behind the scenes talks happening where everyone's saying to each other in America, we're going, no, we're just going to pretend like you're because they were never going to join NATO, but now we're just going to say it just to have this verbal like win with Putin. And the
Mm.
whole thing is insane. It's like, yeah, she wouldn't have been as, pro-Israel as Trump is. I don't know if she would have stood up to fucking Netanyahu
No,
either, but
yeah.
she would have ramped up. My most hopeful for Trump becoming the president would because I always knew like the odds of him getting into some shit with Iran was definitely very, very possible. Like he's definitely a hawk on Iran. And this is to me the worst case. Like I mean, it's not the absolute worst case, but in terms of me imagining like how his presidency is going to go, like 2-3 years ago, this is definitely in my brain. This is like, okay, this is like a total
Yeah.
failed presidency type of situation.
Oh,
But
100%.
if you're being really realistic about it, you would assume he's going to fuck with Iran and hopefully it doesn't get as fucked up as it is now. But hopefully he winds down the war with, Russia and Ukraine. Hopefully he ends a war, right? And
Mm.
he's just been unable to do that. So then it just gets to this point where you're like, okay,
Mm.
you're just kind of you're kind of losing interest in a million people dying in Russia and
Yeah.
Ukraine. And then you're just
Yeah.
starting another war. It's like that's literally World War III. Like that's literally the
Yeah.
worst case like scenario outside of like full on nukes. But I don't know.
Well, he ran
Hillary's a
on,
hawk,
no new wars. He ran on, yeah, this is,
Trump's a hawk. Hillary's they're all the same. Like, they
yeah, I was
all
gonna
have
say,
the same foreign policy now.
yeah, I was gonna try to tie it back to the Hillary thing too, because it's like, he ran in 2016. I think he was like, she's gonna go, yeah, like, ballistic, yeah, like whatever she was secretary, all this other stuff. And then it's like, well, what is he doing now? Yeah, like the guy that ran on no new wars,
Yeah.
which is like not a new
No, he proved
concept
them all
for a
right.
Republican
Trump
candidate.
proved
Yeah,
he proved all his critics right, which is unfortunate because some of his biggest enemies are like the worst people in the world. Like he
yeah.
tweeted out this shit on Truth Social about
Oh, wait.
the guy who died. There was like a CIA guy who died.
Wait, which guy? Sorry, you cut out for
Oh my god.
just a minute there.
Oh my god! There, one of the people that Trump has said, "I'm glad he's dead."
Oh yeah, no, wait, that was wasn't that
Was that James Comer or
yeah, it was
something? Or
Comey, right?
no, I think
Comey?
Comey is still alive.
No, wait, I have to look at my group chat for this. There's a group chat we have where if an evil politician dies, one of us sends a shotgun sound effect. I
I'm
forget who it
glad
was,
he's
but
dead.
yeah,
Robert Mueller.
that
Robert
was it.
Mueller,
Because the Mueller report, duh.
which is
Yeah,
like to me, that's where I feel like the left leaning allegiance has just been like has suffered so many L's in the Trump era is being like, oh, Trump hates Robert Mueller. I guess I like Robert Mueller. It's like, okay, guys,
yeah.
like this is I'm not gonna double down on what Trump said. I don't have it in front of me. Uh let's just say that Robert Mueller was also complicit in the cover-up of Jeffrey Epstein. I think I
of
can say
course.
that without really without even remembering the specific. Let's just say that to start off. Let's just say he was complicit with the cover-up of 9/11. Let's just say he was complicit with, any number of things, right? And then Trump is saying, I'm glad he's dead. Yeah, I don't want the president to say that shit, but at the same time, like if we're gonna act like all of Trump's enemies are like angels, that's probably not
No, of
true.
course.
But there's a lot of like, I actually did write down and I texted myself new Epstein conspiracy theories from the new releases to get away from Hillary, because
Oh, okay.
it is kind of like political theater, because I don't think it's partisan, and she's trying to make it partisan, and her opponents are making it partisan, and it really
Yeah,
is not partisan.
of course.
Off the top of my head, before I even like read through some of these, I was refreshing my memory. I saw a thing again. Why I almost didn't even want to do this episode right away also was it's hard to verify some of this because you just see screenshots like on social media. But you see stuff from certain accounts and you're like, I think that's just real. So in 2008 or 2010 or something like that, Sandy Berger was this dude who literally destroyed documents relating to 9/11.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of this?
No, I don't think so.
So
Sandy Berger, hilarious.
Sandy Berger, it's spelled Berger.
Okay.
And he literally like got sentenced because he like stole classified documents relating to 9/11, and he like stuffed them into his pants pockets, and he like walked out the building, and they literally actually like prosecuted him or
Tackled
something
him.
like
He
I
was
don't know if
found
they
dead.
tackled him, but
2 days later.
they literally did. I think he did catch a case, and they probably gave him a slap on the wrist. He went and visited Epstein Island. He went
Can you hear me?
and literally, yeah. He fucking visited Epstein Island like a week later after he like stole these documents or some shit. Like it's something that's like completely.
That's wild. Yeah.
It's like mind melting. And then there's this whole rumor that I don't know. Again, I can't confirm it because I haven't actually like proven it myself. But there's this like rumor that the emails don't go like too far into the past. They don't go until like they don't go from like 1990 like 8 or 99 to like 2003. Like there's this huge gap.
That gap. Yeah, I've heard
There's
that
a
before.
gap surrounding 9/11.
Yeah, that they like really scrubbed like just a year, like what, a 2-year almost period.
It's very bizarre.
And there's the fucking Shadow Commission email. The
Shadow
Ghislaine
Commission for Ghislaine. Yeah, explain
That's a crazy one. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna mess it up, but it's like, because I can't remember who is the one that sends it to, but someone sends it to Ghislaine. Isn't it Les Wexner? No.
No, I think it was something like I think the person was
somebody
like
else.
redacted.
Yeah, it's somebody like it's redacted, but I think that people have like sort of. I mean, people have their theories, of course. But yeah, it's an email that's like, would you like to join the 9/11 Shadow Commission? And there's some obviously like formalities there that are like, how are you doing today? Which is the scariest thing about it is that they're still like, good afternoon. Like, would you like to join the scariest commission of all time? And literally, I think like Ghislaine's answers or her assistant answers or something, and she's like, she doesn't have the time. Thank you so much. Like whatever. It's like that's insane. Like eyes wide shut level shit. And I know that we always bring that up. That's a common reference for these stories, but goddamn, like what the fuck? Yeah,
that's completely. I mean, just the phrasing of that is like so like freaky, like Shadow Commission. Like what could possibly be like the innocent explanation?
Right? Yeah,
for that, like for a Shadow Commission.
Because that's the thing you also run into so much. I've explained. I ran into this about my friend. You run into this so much where you're like the point where you just kind of like let this go in terms of like what am I supposed to assume from all of this stuff,
Right.
like that's put forward in the semantics, and then one of the even the big ones, just jumping back to the Pizzagate thing, is have we talked about the Podestas having like Dahmer victim statues? Do you know this story,
Wait,
or like
what?
this bit so there's like a chandelier that I think John Podesta has or had, I don't know, that is like one of it's a gold statue figure, like figurine porcelain, or not porcelain, it's because it's gold, whatever,
Mm.
of like a Dahmer figure that's like bent backwards, or like it's bent over its back. It's kind of like I'm trying to describe it without being too graphic because it's just still gross.
Oh my
Um,
god.
but it basically is, and it's like I literally, as a child that was like watching true crime documentaries, way too young, I remember just like hearing about those photos, and like, yeah, and like, the Dahmer things and how he would pose these things, but it's like recreated in a sculpture and a chandelier thing that's like in their
Yeah, I remember there's a whole thing about like weird
apartment,
art
and
and
it's like,
shit
of
with
course, yeah, because it's in his Instagram page. If I'm remembering correctly, because this falls into that same thing. That's like he had a bunch of weird other photo or paintings of like kids and rather freaky scenarios and stuff. That it was like in the same manner where you're like, okay, like when are we just supposed to be like, this is just like what he's into, and it's not like
yeah.
that he's acting, like that he just has fucking like, yeah, baby doll paintings of them like tied up to walls, or like whatever. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, and talk about, because a lot of people are talking about this, but I feel like the big like aspect of why it was even called Pizzagate was just that like it had to do with like this symbolic language, like these weird ass emails about like, like Alex
yeah,
Jones is
I'll
like
have like
he's like,
50
yeah,
hot
Obama.
dogs.
He's like, yeah, Barack Obama, he ordered 50 hot dogs to the White House, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, well, it was Hillary says something about ordering a hot dog with no bun, and I think that's like, but I think
Yeah,
she
yeah, that's
orders
another thing talking
multiple,
about.
and maybe I'm wrong actually, because now I might be excuse me, combining two things, two emails or two stories, but she orders like a couple hot dogs or a hot dog with no bun, and people were like, "That's weird," which it is, strange, and that's like one case that's like, well, out of context, maybe that's just like her being weird. She's a weird lady, but then there is other ones that are like, "Can we have 50 skinless hot dog?" And you're like, "Okay." And yeah, I don't know if we talked about the beef jerky emails in the last episode.
Oh
I
yeah,
think we
jerky
covered it
is
a
the other
little
one that
bit.
came up.
That's because that's another one that's like, oh yeah, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, what the fuck? If you just read that with no context, you're like, I still don't know. Or yeah, if you're just if you have no idea about Epstein or whatever, and I just put these emails between all of these like powerful people in front of you, where they're like, oh, we're running out of jerky. Can you make sure that Jeffrey's chef is making jerky? It's only what he eats. He needs, like whatever, all this like crazy shit. You're like, what what am I supposed to do with that, dude? Without like kind of losing my mind.
Yeah, the coded language is just so like flagrant. I mean, I know Tucker Carlson brought it up where he's talking with his urologist over email, Epstein and his
Yeah,
urologist, and his urologist was like, you got to take like medicine, like you got to take like ED medicine, like, and then drink like purple soda or something, or like the whole thing was. And he's like, "Oh, so what exactly could that mean?" And it's
yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, that's funny.
but it's
But
like just so true. It's like, what the
yeah,
fuck
exactly.
else? Like, you got them dead. Like some of these emails, you don't even have to get super crazy with it in terms of,
Yeah,
like connecting, like, because I don't know, like when it gets to some of the craziest claims with like Pizzagate, I need to have like, which again, it does exist with certain people. Like there are credible
yeah.
accusers
It
for
has never
the
been
Epstein stuff, and
defunct, like, which is
yeah,
the crazy, because people will say that all the time, and it like has actually never legit. And also like Pizzagate. fans and whatever, or not fans. That's a terrible phrase to say. Pizzagate conspiracy theorists, or whatever you want to say. People who follow this will constantly tell you that, and it is kind of annoying. But that is true, like because on Snopes and stuff, and or like all these other websites, and on in the news and stuff, they say like it's completely debunked, which is like that. I mean, like not really. Like there's still like a lot of other weird questions that.
No, yeah,
Still
it's totally never been.
linger.
Where they get with it is, did Hillary Clinton put a child's face on her face and wear it like a mask? I don't know.
Which is so crazy to be like, yeah, exactly. Like, because you
what
don't want to believe that. But if all this
people have
other
said
shit,
that, but
yeah,
I don't know. I just I haven't heard like I've heard shit that seems complete. Here's a good example.
right,
Ghislaine Maxwell got charged with like whatever, like her charge is still like insanely light. She
yeah.
literally,
Yeah. Well, not to
it's
cut you
on.
off, but really quickly, I was gonna say we should
Oh
talk
yeah.
about her being pardoned after this, allegedly.
Oh well, yeah. That's gonna be like
That's
DEFCON
a whole other
5,
thing.
like
But yeah, so yeah,
super bottomless evil, like probably one of the worst things that could ever happen in the history of the world. But no, I mean
yeah. But
she,
sorry, you go ahead.
similar to like a lot of these people, certain people are like they got them like dead to rights. She has literally been accused of rape by a lot of people.
Yeah,
Like it's not a couple, it's a lot,
yeah,
right? And they didn't pursue that in court for whatever reason. And then it's Comey's daughter that also happens to be, she was the person that got this 20-year sentence for Ghislaine. And then it was James Comey's daughter that also somehow fucked up the Diddy
yeah,
prosecution. And then Trump fires her. And I see
yeah,
people just being like, oh, this is like political retribution. But it's like, okay, but in this case, this chick, like, she seems to be cleaning up some pretty crazy shit. Like you can't put Diddy away. Like yeah, you
yeah.
put Diddy away for like 2 years or whatever the sentence was, or like 5 years.
It was something
And
kind of crazy. Yeah,
yeah,
it was
and
light
so
compared to what he was like his worst sentence.
yeah, so there's definitely like a cleanup crew with some of this stuff, and like the courts. It's what's frustrating about any of this is like you would like for there to be no like corruption whatsoever, but I don't know, 20 years for Ghislaine Maxwell, and then there's rumors of her getting pardoned. It's like,
Yeah, so I was gonna
what?
say I wrote down that like literally on fucking April 22nd and 23rd there was like a couple articles that were written, and some of them are like gossip ones, but there was one on Politico, which is like semi reputable, I think, um, that says like there was a few, or like at least a small or some House Republicans who are actually thinking or still trying to get her pardoned, which is like like what I said in the beginning, sort of, that I was like, it just keeps getting weirder, and there's no way to really like ever, like, I don't think that people will ever stop talking about it, because it actually will keep escalating despite the
Oh
attempts
yeah.
to subdue it. Like every attempt they've done to suppress this has actually just been gasoline to the fire and made it
Oh
that much
yeah.
crazier, and made like the people who are actually paying attention that much more into it. So it's like, because I explained to a friend months ago, I think like literally in December, or like whenever there was like the other drop, probably around when we did the last episode of Epstein documents,
Mhm.
and she was like, "Is it true that like I've heard that like stuff on the news and Fox that like they're trying to pardon her?" And I was like, back then I was like, "That's insane. That would never happen. That's like, yeah, that like literally does mean like David Lynch Twin Peaks episode 8 or part 8 or whatever." Nuclear bomb evils opening up of the world, like you said, crawling out, like that is the worst possible thing, because that is actually probably a complete, at least in my mind, admission, and them just being like, fuck it, this is like us just killing it, and what are you going to do about it, like in terms of
Pretty
them like
much.
wrapping it up, yeah. But I was, at that time I was like, that seems so inconceivable, and even for their own sake, stupid. and that like there's I don't know if it is just sensational stuff, but like or like just gossip, but like the idea that this is still a thing in the House of Representatives is insane. It's very scary, I think. Of
Yeah,
course.
because then she also sent that crazy eerie email where it was like about like it was post 9/11. It was like, oh yeah, it was like a son talking to a father like 60 years in the future. Do you remember that
Mm.
one? And then
Yeah.
the
What is the? It's like like
it's
a
a whole
poem or
thing like
analogy or some short
yeah,
story.
it's like a we're getting our retribution like
Yeah.
in vintage Israeli fashion is like what she was kind of like signaling, but she's like it's like a father talking to his son being like, yeah, so what was 9/11? And it's like, oh yeah, I'm paraphrasing, I don't have it in front of me, but it's like, what was 9/11? Oh, they flew like these planes in these buildings or something. And then he goes, oh okay, but and then what are the Arabs is how the
Oh
whole thing
yeah,
ends.
that's it. Yeah, because yeah,
The punchline
isn't
is
it like
like
implying
we're
that they
gonna
don't exist or whatever?
yeah, the punchline is
Yeah.
that like a father is telling their son like 60 years in the future that like Muslims don't exist anymore. And like that's
Yeah.
literally an email that Ghislaine Maxwell sent to friends after 9/11, which let's be completely honest, she probably knew what happened with 9/11. Uh
Yeah.
there's a whole bottomless like I'm saying with this Sandy Berger thing. I'm like so pissed at myself that I didn't just take another screenshot. But I literally was looking at it before we started recording. I couldn't find it, but it was what I said was true that Sandy Berger smuggled out documents and got caught and got a fucking slap on the wrist for destroying documents related to the investigation into 9/11. He went and visited Epstein Island like a week later, and then Epstein sent him like a FedEx package too.
That's crazy. Wait, you
Why
mean when he was in
and
prison?
how would Jeffrey Epstein know who Sandy Berger is? What the
Yeah.
fuck is that? So I don't
Yeah.
know. That's a whole bottomless conversation that is extremely speculative because there's almost no emails from that era. I'm just gonna rattle off some of my notes, and this is probably even scratching the surface of some stuff. And we could like, I'm gonna try to read through all of them, and then we can like go back and talk about like whichever
Some of the
ones.
highlights.
Uh, I said this is me trying to keep track of new Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy shit people are talking about, which might not even be true, but just people making conclusions off of his whole thing.
Mhm.
Jeffrey Epstein is alive is the first one.
Mhm. So yeah, wait, are we gonna pause by each, or
No,
are we
we're
gonna
not going to
rapid fire?
pause. I'm just going to be like,
Okay, okay, okay,
I'm going to be
okay.
crazy, and we'll go back. Jeffrey Epstein invent, Jeffrey Epstein invented Bitcoin. Uh,
Okay.
and then I got all the gold in Fort Knox is gone. I got another one. Epstein talks about transgenderism over email.
Okay.
Uh, well, I got one that says Epstein tortured and murdered sex slaves.
Mhm.
I got George H.W. Bush took part in ritual sacrifice and rape with Henry Kissinger and George Soros. Bill
Do these
Gates got an.
episodes go up on YouTube?
What'd you say?
Do these episodes go up on YouTube?
Yeah, usually.
Okay.
I
Anyway.
got Bill Gates got an STD from sleeping with Russian hookers, which that's not really a conspiracy theory. His wife seemed
Yeah,
to
that's
confirm
like
that.
real. Yeah.
Uh, Okay, here's another one. This is a very long list. So we didn't even talk about this earlier, but I would say certain things have been added to the Epstein files that have been released. That some of these documents are definitely not true. We can talk about that in a minute as well.
Mhm.
Like the Larry Nasser letter, I think was pretty much proven to be fake. Um,
Yeah.
as far as I was concerned. So I think there was a systematic, like strategic decision with the Epstein dumps where the Justice Department, they probably, first of all, they didn't care if some stuff wasn't true. And they probably also realized that if some stuff wasn't true, it makes all of it sound crazy.
Right. Well, I think they
because
also were
I
so
thought I
open to
saw.
the idea that like any AI or like faked memed stuff will just dilute it more. So kind of for
Yeah.
them, it's like, yeah, it's kind of helping them. Or it does really add fuel to their fire, rather.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially when it comes to Trump, because there's crazy shit in all of this in regards to Trump, where the FBI like would talk to witnesses or someone who's like making an allegation against Trump like 4 times or something, and then somehow there's just no evidence of like a follow up on where that even went, and then now you get to this where I'm literally seeing accounts that said Joe Biden was killed and a man was wearing a Biden mask and replaced him. I've
That's very
seen that.
funny.
People say
I
that that
mean, I
was in
love
the Epstein
the
releases, which I don't
yeah.
know if that's true, that like Biden was a clone, but apparently
I
they
love the
released
Biden clone
documents.
theories. Yeah, apparently it's in there, folks. So
Yeah, again, has nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, but it was in the release for some reason.
Well, not to jump off really fast, but I do remember in 2016, 17, when Pizzagate and stuff was happening, and you could look through the Podesta emails. Similarly to this, I remember so many people online telling me or were posting that there was a lot of mentions of Baal, Baal, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
whatever. And it actually is not in there. Like there's not directly them saying, at least the last time I fucking checked, which I would still probably bet there's not one of them directly saying that. But
Yeah.
or them saying it by name in actual spelling and everything. But I remember that was like a thing where so many people would just like repeat that too, and it was like you can look at this up, like it's also like there, like similar to with the Epstein stuff, where it's like people will just say anything
Yeah, it's so
and then not
overwhelming. It's
expect you to
like,
look it up, which I think is fair. Yeah, it's a very easy thing to do in this case
and they
because
don't make like an
it
index
is
for any of this
overwhelming.
shit either. You have to like you have to click and then I mean I didn't even try with the Epstein stuff. I did it with the JFK releases last year. I was like actually going through some of it, and
Mm.
they just make it as hard as possible for you.
Well,
Where
exactly. Yeah.
it's like they can like
Yeah.
give you amazing, like there are amazing stuff in the JFK releases. No one even knew about it because like you have to just be like tapped in. Another Epstein conspiracy theory or something I heard from the new releases: Epstein rigged the Powerball lottery was another theory that people were talking about. Epstein was having gay sex with Les Wexner. That just seems to be true.
Dude, yes, I've heard
Uh,
that.
yeah, and in his testimony, he's like, "Oh, my wife Abigail." It's like, okay, yeah,
I
sure.
low key
Uh,
believe that one. Yeah.
he's Les Wexner is like clearly gay. I people said
Yeah.
that.
Well, I think when you're at that like that point, like you're just a sexual deviant. I mean, you really are just like an
Yeah.
evil sexual psycho, you know. So
Oh
you
yeah.
just will do anything. Like that's not to say that, being gay is awful. I didn't mean to just come off like that. I thought that
Well,
might sound
I
bad.
think
But
he's
that's what I mean.
I think he was probably because Les Wexner is like mobbed up too. Like
Right.
he's like there was like someone that was going to testify against him and they got like murdered. Like he's literally like in the Italian mafia or some
Yeah, he's
crazy
got
ass shit.
bodies. Well, we
And
know
so
what type of mafia it is, Zachary. No,
no,
I'm
yeah,
kidding.
well, no, it's not Italian actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
Kidding,
yeah, he
kidding.
because oh my god, it's so funny in the testimony. I was like kind of zoning out listening to him a little bit earlier, and they're like, "Oh yeah, so you had a birthday party?" He's like, "Oh well, actually, I never have birthday parties." And then they're like, "Okay, but you were all together hanging out." And he starts listing off like a
Yeah.
whole list of people that was there, and he says Shimon Peres, a former prime minister of Israel, was like
Oh my
at like a
god.
birthday party. It's something crazy where I'm
At a
like, wait, wait, wait,
gathering,
wait.
yeah, at the least or whatever that he
Oh,
would,
hold on a second.
yeah, if he would call it that.
That's like when Epstein said in the Bannon interview, he said that he was on the Trilateral Commission in the
Yes,
90s.
dude.
It's like that
Yeah.
doesn't even pass the smell test.
Yeah. Or
He's literally
when he's like fucking I believe that Me Too will be the future of women. Or like whatever the fuck he says. He says
he's
something
talking
about
about
Me Too.
gravity. He's like,
Yeah.
what is gravity exactly? It's like, yo, bro, Go
Yeah,
back.
dude.
Go back to New York. You're like a
The
New York.
fucking guy that like tried to be like, if I freeze my dick and balls after I die, can I clone myself in the future, or can I inseminate? Do you know about this? In his Texas
Yeah, yeah.
ranch, he is.
He
Yeah,
did
I
say
think this
that.
is like a yeah. It's like the guy who's like a dumb smart guy. That's the other thing is like that's so bizarre about him is that the more you read his emails and shit, and like you kind of picture the man like he's not stupid but he's yeah like a smart dumb guy where he's like what's the
Yeah.
fucking the email that there's like some fucking evil lady who's like one of his I think it's one of his assistants because I wrote down in my notes because I his none of his assistants have ever been prosecuted
Yeah.
uh and there's like I think like plus 10 of them and they like I don't think they've ever been called to the stand. There's
No,
like
it makes
something crazy,
no
which
sense.
I did not actually know that until today. Which I kind of just assumed that they were all. Yeah, I don't
Well, think of
know.
all these
You know.
co-conspirators. I mean, Les Wexner gave him like power of attorney
Yeah,
and
power of
gave him
attorney, of
access,
course.
and no one knows how Epstein made his money at all, and he just ends up
Yeah,
on the Trilateral Commission
right after like
with
high
like
school or getting fired from his
with like a
teaching high school
Rockefeller.
math.
Yeah, he got fired probably for trying to fuck a 17-year-old.
Yeah,
That's
literally.
probably like that's like literally the reason. Uh, and so I got just get through this list just because it's so like
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
comical. One of my favorite emails, he says to Peter Thiel, "As you know, I represent the Rothschilds." And then in one of the documents, there's a mention of Epstein signing a $25 million contract with the Rothschilds.
Oh my god, dude.
And when
Yeah.
Les Wexner was getting deposed, he said, I saw a clip of this. I didn't actually see it today when I was trying to go through the whole thing, but I saw a clip. Les Wexner said, when I met Jeffrey Epstein, like I knew him for representing the Rothschilds. And
That's crazy.
you know, Alan
Yeah.
Dershowitz said that he met Ghislaine Maxwell at like the Rothschilds like mansion, and he
Yeah.
met them through like it's an undeniable thing that it was
Yeah.
I forget the first name, but it was one of the Rothschilds that actually married in. I think was the one that was closer with Epstein, but
Yeah.
no. So I'll try to get through this list as fast as I can because I only got a couple more left. But former NBA Commissioner David Stern refers to Goyim in an email with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh my god. Is that real? Is that one of
I
the
did
Goya
see that.
ones?
I did see
That's
that.
awesome. That's
That David Stern said,
crazy.
"We'll do it for the Goyim." He just said he's just joking with Epstein, which is like okay.
Wow.
I had
That's
this
so
one.
funny because yeah, I had like a white friend of ours who is like, I don't want to be mad at that. That does get me fired up, just randomly because it's like where it's like I've never been called that before. That does hurt actually, randomly or whatever.
Oh
Anyway,
no, it is hilarious,
you're
but
like fuck. That doesn't feel good actually.
yeah, I got the shit about Noam Chomsky being friends with Epstein, which people were
Yeah,
devastated by. And then I got Jeffrey Epstein got banned off Xbox Live.
yeah, dude.
That was nuts as well because I believe that he might have just been cussing someone out. He got kicked off. He also might have been personally kicked off by Bill Gates, who ran Microsoft.
That's so funny.
Bill Gates might have made the decision because the relationship was burned. But that did happen. There is an email of Xbox Live saying you have been banned.
Yeah, you've been banned. We're gonna cut you off
Uh,
from playing Black Ops 2. No more
yeah,
fun. No more zombies for you. I literally thought when I saw that though that maybe he was using it for his victims, like for kids to like come over and play. But it wouldn't
yeah.
surprise me if he
No, I
was
mean
just like chilling. Like
that's also extremely plausible that he
yeah, but
would have.
he also
Because I think
reads
he
like a
was
guy that was
probably
just really hanging
bisexual,
out.
honestly. I think Jeffrey
Yeah.
Epstein was like, I mean, if you're at that level where you're just like a complete monster, I feel
Yeah.
like, and then
I mean, yeah.
I don't think he has any like. I was even seeing it in in one of the depositions earlier, talking to like I think it was to Les Wexner. They were like, Yeah, here's a direct quote about Epstein. Anything that you like would have heard like a person doing, he like would have done, which
Oh
to
man.
me is what makes me more mad about the whole thing, where I'm like, the parameters of this are so specific, like the story of like Epstein recruiting like 17-year-old women. It's like, this is just not what happened. Like, this guy was like literally like, did Jean Luc Brunel, I think,
Yeah.
or someone, he's like, yeah, thank you for the gift or whatever. Like, at one point and I don't even know, this is not a recent release, but this is like a in the Epstein lore for like a long time, that Epstein bragged about being given like 10-year-old twins or something
Oh man.
completely off the rails, like, and again, I still think
Yeah.
it's evil,
Insane.
like what he was doing with high school girls, but it does seem like there was a cultivation of the image, like, which is what makes some of the
Mm.
Bannon stuff so like uh chilling. Like, trying to rehabilitate this guy's image is just like so evil, because it's so
Yeah.
obvious that, like we're saying with the depositions and shit, these people like Howard Lutnick, anyone that's had to go on the record about Epstein, they will lie until you find the lie, until you
Yeah.
expose the lie. They will literally lie. Epstein is the same way. He will lie about literally everything up until you're like, yo, did you kill like these chicks and you threw them in the ocean? Like,
Yeah.
literally no one ever asked him that, and I feel extremely confident that some of these women were killed. There's all these rumors
Oh
about
yeah.
Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, that there were bodies buried on Zorro Ranch. I saw emails regarding
Yeah.
that. uh no, I only
I
have a
mean,
couple
isn't
more.
his dentist chair in Zorro Ranch, or is it
Yeah, the
in
dentist no, the dentist chair is on the island, I think,
oh, okay. Which I mean, yeah, still, like,
with
come
all the
on.
weird faces on the thing,
Yeah,
because they released
that's
the
like,
pictures too. uh
ugh.
Epstein says whoops after JFK Jr.'s ex-wife kills herself. And people online were saying every single time he says whoops is weird. Like, he seems to say
Oh,
whoops in this context where people were speculating that he might have been like putting out like hits like on
yeah.
people.
Or you
Uh
might have been even saying like it's done, you know?
yeah, or something. But whoops is like one of the most insane things I've ever seen. Epstein emails the Rothschilds saying Hitler was supported by the Jews in in World War, in like 1920. Basically, that there's this email with a Rothschild where Epstein says that we actually allowed Hitler to stay in like basically like a homeless person's like house that the
Mm.
Epsteins and the Rothschilds are financing. And Rothschild and Epstein are like joking with each other, like, huh, isn't that crazy? Like, they just think it's like wild. Which again, that's a completely real email. Like, I
Yeah.
feel that's totally real. Uh here I got a couple more left. Yeah, this is a more obvious one. Jeffrey Epstein acknowledges that Mossad murdered Robert Maxwell, uh Ghislaine Maxwell's father. That's like kind of clear. And then this is another interesting one, because this is really nuanced. Jeffrey Epstein speculates that MBZ, which I guess is another member of the Saudi royal family, tried to set MBS up for the Khashoggi murder. So there's an email where Jeffrey Epstein is in real time speculating on if Jamal Khashoggi was murdered by a rival in the House of Saud. And of course, MBS ends up taking power anyway, but Epstein had connections to all of that. So I basically read through, and this is barely scratching the surface of shit that we have seen in literally just the recent documents. I'm like forgetting about stuff too. I mean, people bring up all kinds of shit with Epstein. Like,
Mm.
it's literally endless. Like, this guy was um I love have you read any, I think I've probably sent you some, but I feel like Drop Site has had some pretty sick like essays and like articles on Epstein as well.
Oh, got you.
It's,
I don't think
if you
I've
want to
read
see
any of
like
them yet. Yeah.
the really cool, like I'd have to go back, but like one of them recently was like, you know, the Israeli government like put the cameras in one of his apartments. It's like, okay,
That's funny. Well, I was gonna
yeah,
say, going back to like one thing about Epstein as a figure or whatever, there was some interview or like podcast with Eric Weinstein that he recorded.
yeah.
Do you know the one where he's like when he says he met him and he says it felt
It
like I
seemed
met
like
a
an act.
concept. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was like, I met a concept. Like he was like, which is kind of bullshit because we ended up finding out similar to all of these other guys or similar to all these other stories. They hung out like I think one or two more times or whatever.
really. Have you
Uh,
heard that about him?
I think that there's like so that they maybe like we're at the same dinners once or twice or something. Maybe I'm
Yeah, man. I don't
conflating the
know.
things. But it's like, but he was a guy. He's kind of a dork, and I don't really trust
Yeah,
him. And I swear to God, maybe I am wrong, but like I swear to God that like at least there he was found like around him one other time, and maybe it was in the same similar capacity. That's like, well, we were at the same party or fundraiser or whatever. It's like, well, yeah, sure, whatever, but like I don't know, you know. But yeah, he said that he had told his wife after he met Jeffrey Epstein that he had met a concept, and he felt like that he had seen cameras and some of his artwork and his paintings were all askewed and that like he went to like the dining room and like had a younger looking woman like flirt with him,
right.
not him but flirt with Jeffrey, but like yeah, he would just have this like younger woman walk around, parade around, like in this weird like flirtatious attitude, but she would only portray it towards Jeffrey and not towards
Yeah.
Weinstein and
No, I
stuff. And
mean,
there's like this weird like way of like trying to seduce him or put him into a state or like this thing that's like
well, it's
putting
just
on a
very
show
outward. It's
even.
like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
very like there's no subtlety. Like the
yeah,
idea that Hillary Clinton's daughter went on vacation with Ghislaine Maxwell, and Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, there. So Whitney Webb brought this up. Whitney Webb found this article in like a major publication in like 2002 of Ghislaine Maxwell like teaching young women how to do like BDSM like sex techniques.
oh wow,
Like with a whip. Like it's like an article where Ghislaine is like holding a whip and she's just being like, yeah, I had to educate the ladies at like the party. It's like none of this was subtle. Like if
yeah,
you're Bill Clinton hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, it's not subtle at all.
yeah.
It's not.
I mean,
If you're
he hung
Donald
out with
Trump,
Woody Allen,
yeah,
like
Alan. I mean, we literally could. I mean, it's literally endless. I don't believe for a second
yeah.
that these people didn't know what Epstein's vibe was. I do not
Oh,
believe for a
100%.
second. I mean, no, of course. Jeffrey Epstein, he was not looking someone in the eyes and talking about 8-year-olds. That's definitely true.
Mm.
But it was like
Maybe in
even
most
like even for like
contexts,
the
it sounds like he was in some time. At some points,
well, it would
it
be
sounds like he
like what you
was.
said with Weinstein, you know, where it's like
Yeah,
it's not that it's like an underage chick in that case. I think it was like an like a young it was a young woman, but she was of age, let's say in that
yeah,
case.
yeah, yeah.
It was like a 20-year-old or a 23-year-old. You're having a fucking business meeting and you have a chick come over and sit on your lap in the middle of like a venture capitalist
Mm.
like meeting. Like that's the most creepy. I mean, it doesn't have to like if it's like an 8-year-old, like Weinstein, like that's like two on the nose, let's say, right?
Yeah,
It's
I
like
mean that would be
it's
crazy.
it's yeah. So it's like it's not that on the nose where it's like, but it's still
But
pretty on
it's
the
still
nose.
just
Like
showing
the
that he's like, yeah, like a sexually depraved, like
yeah, no,
basically
and he's
there. That
proud
he's
of it. Like
like,
the birthday book, you know, like they
yeah,
literally are all acknowledging it one after another that this guy is like this and
dude.
like
So wait, really fast before I forget this, because I did want to mention this. I did not write this
okay.
down. But have you seen these pictures of Jeffries where he's taking selfies? He's got at least one of his eye,
Yeah.
but he's got these
Yeah.
ones
I
of
know what
his
you're talking about.
mouth what the fuck is that? Because that actually freaks me out. Because
That
because
really freaks me out too.
I did
You
smoke
saw
weed
people
one time, and I
speculating
was
on this?
yes, dude, I was smoking weed one time, and I saw people that were like, "It's from the cannibalism." It's it's
Yeah.
like him sending like his pictures to his doc because to my knowledge they're not attached to any email, so they were probably something on his phone that he texted to somebody or something, or maybe it was just him like I don't know, having like folliculitis or whatever. I know that there's a thing where people will have. I don't know if it is a form of folliculitis or whatever, where you're you'll get ingrown hairs basically, but they don't turn into pimples; they just grow underneath your skin, and you have like basically look like lumps or growths.
Mhm.
And it looks kind of like that in those photos, but at the same time, he has a beard, he has stubble still in the photos. So I don't know, and maybe it's just him. Maybe it's gout. I also said that maybe he has gout. Like it doesn't seem like he's gonna be a very like, despite that he's rich, he's probably not fucking like drinking a lot of water, being like particularly healthy. You know, I think he still
Well,
is like
I've heard
fucking
that
me
is like
ball. Like if I can do whatever I'm doing right now, like I'm eating caviar and fucking like the saltiest meals and fuck it. But I really don't have no idea. But those pictures are scary to me. Is all I mean.
yeah, they freaked me out.
Mostly.
I just took it as like baseline, very potentially like an STD. Like I don't know,
Mm.
I don't know
Yeah, I don't know
why
what
is he
that would
taking
have
these
been though,
photos?
too.
And then
Yeah.
people like speculated that it's because you're eating like flesh. So where I'm
Right.
at with it is this shit is so depraved. Like when it comes to like Marquis de Sade, like this is like a whole other. This is like a whole other. So Albert Serra had this brilliant point when he was making Liberté
Mm.
about Marquis de Sade, and he said that because Marquis de Sade is clearly like an artistically relevant person, but also clearly like a criminal, like
Yep.
literally, and also basically like a Jeffrey Epstein of his time, on top of being artistically genius. Because the 120 Days of Sodom, the whole idea that Albert Serra said that was interesting, and this is extremely dark and disturbing, I will preface, is
Yeah, of
that,
course.
and I tried to read the 120 Days of Sodom. I really could not do it. It was so disturbing.
Yeah.
Um, and I love Pasolini's film, and Pasolini was also a sexual deviant, but
Yeah.
Marquis de Sade, apparently in this book, the whole theme of the 120 Days of Sodom is these essentially, like, at the time in the 1700s, it was like the corrupt French, like, aristocracy, or
Mm.
the elites. They would get, it was like, it's all the shit we're talking about. You get bored with
Yeah, it's a
stuff and you try.
class thing.
Yeah, you
Class
try
issue,
new
excuse me.
shit, and you try shit because you're like bored. And in the Marquis de Sade tradition, which is something that 100% Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell would be tuned into, like hyper tuned into it, like sexually connected to it, but also artistically, they seem to like, they seem to love this kind of erotic art on top of what they like. But in de Sade, you have to keep doing worse stuff, and you don't even
Mm.
know if you like something unless you try it, is like the
Yeah.
idea that Albert Serra brought up about, like, the Marquis de Sade, libertine movement, which, to me, if it's like between two adults and everything is consenting, then this is a completely different conversation as far as like what people
Sure.
can do,
This is
obviously.
very
But
funny.
Marquis de Sade went to prison for like torturing like a servant.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's
But I mean, from
obviously
my reading of
not
Ghislaine,
good.
so if I'm understanding correctly, because I do agree with the point and believe, I think that Epstein and Ghislaine are people who were so wealthy and had experienced kind of so much, or were able to
Yeah,
yeah,
and they're
do
probably
so
both
much with their
abused. I
wealth.
mean,
Yeah,
Robert
oh yeah, it
Maxwell
definitely seems
probably
like it.
abused
Fucking
her.
Ghislaine definitely has probably been you know, if
Yeah.
she's like that close to like a sex trafficking ring and was basically raised, yeah, you know, I mean,
Yeah, Robert Maxwell was like
uh,
obsessed with prostitutes. Like
yeah,
he
I don't
was
want to speculate, but
notoriously
like, yeah, I would,
he was
yeah,
notorious. Whitney Webb even brought it up that there was some party at like
dude,
a
yeah,
mansion and like
wait,
a kid shows up dead, like a kid just dies like at a party and you're like,
oh,
what?
well, I don't know about that, but
She sent
but,
emails to her nephew and she
uh,
said, I swear to God, this is in the Epstein releases. Ghislaine Maxwell is emailing her nephew, and she says, like, what, like, celebrity do you want to see naked?
oh yeah, I think I remember hearing about this
And the
actually.
kid is like, however old, like 12 or 14. In any other situation, it's still weird. In this
Of
situation, it's
course.
like diabolical.
Well, in this
How
situation, you're
fucked
like,
up that
oh,
is.
well, yeah, like it's like
You're
I
like, okay,
completely,
well, clearly Ghislaine probably like I don't know,
yeah.
man. She
I'm gonna take a
clearly
wild guess here. I'm gonna take a big jump, as they say.
I think
Whatever.
they got her dead to rights. I think every piece of evidence, like Les Wexner, they got
Yeah.
him dead to rights. They
I
got a
mean,
lot of
she
these
really
people.
is like just, you know, and it's like people don't talk about how she like just is, if not kind of more awful than Jeffrey. Like when you
No,
really like, well, like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I think I don't want to compare. And when you get into evils, it's all kind of bleak, and at that point, what's the point? But like, I mean, people forget about her all the time, and especially now, because all of the
no, I
documents and
know.
stuff are like in the news because they would drop and stuff. But like, yeah, she's still like there. She's still like constantly trying to negotiate. Like, didn't she say that she would
Well, she's
even go on
charismatic as
camera
hell
or
too.
something? Oh, of course, because she's been doing it for like, I mean, yeah, probably since she was fucking like 9. Ever since she could like actually sort of think. I'm sure that she was like sort of groomed and molded by her
Yeah.
like pseudo fake family. But also, I'm misremembering, and this is what I was going to bring up just a few minutes ago. I think she even like, or maybe I'm misremembering, but yeah, like there's a thing with Robert Maxwell and her where they had a similar thing with like Trump and Melania or Ivanka, where he like said that she was very pretty and
Oh yeah, that
would
checks
do
out.
stuff like that, like yeah, like would kind of like make these weird vague compliments that still like were like just a little too uncomfortable, or a little too much for a father to be saying about his daughter and stuff. I think I'm correct in remembering that, but I can't remember
Oh
a
no, I think
specific
that's
one.
100% true.
uh
I think
that's what I
I can
mean, because it
verify that.
checks. I think it tracks just with like that history and the fact that it's like she seems to just have been like literally like a sociopathic spy since,
Yeah.
yeah, like her
Yeah, and then
like
all of her siblings are in
she's made
like tech
a point on the map.
companies.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
all
she
they're all
fucking
like
did that TED talk too.
yeah, isn't that bizarre? Hillary kept bringing that up in the deposition. She kept being like, "Yeah, she did a tech talk, and she apparently CNN decided to talk to her."
Ah.
And it's like Hillary is
Yeah,
so nuts. Where I get with Hillary is like, it's like okay, if you just admit a little bit that you're evil, I would almost
yeah,
like you more. Like it makes
dude,
me dislike
yeah,
you that you
I
don't
literally
want to
said,
admit you're evil at all.
I said to fucking our good friend Sean Fahey, shouts out, to when I was visiting Chicago, that I was like, I think if Hillary Clinton went into the deposition and like just flat out told the truth, I was like, that's like a Bressonian level ending of a film. You know what I mean? Where it's like if she fully was like, yes, I did eat a baby. Yes, I did put the baby's face on my face. Like or if she actually did just fully admit it, I would be like, that's actually crazy. Like I'd be like, that is a crazy act of an attempt at redemption, and I would maybe give her props. And that comes from someone who really despises her.
Yeah, because
But yeah, but like
eating
when
the
you watch
baby
that
shit,
deposition, it's just, yeah, it's more
she'll
of the
never admit
same.
that, but it's like, come on, like tell us about
Give me
your
something,
friendship with
lady.
Delane. Like, what are you doing? I want the tea.
Yeah.
Spill the tea,
Spill the tea,
Hillary.
sister. Yeah,
Like,
Hillary. Yeah.
you're never gonna tell us any vibe that you had with Ghislaine Maxwell, who's like exactly the same as Jeffrey Epstein. She's like an outward like sex addict who wants to rape children. You're not
Yeah.
going to like literally tell us at all what you
I mean,
talked
also
about.
like,
And Ghislaine Maxwell's father is a Mossad spy who gets assassinated by the Mossad. You're not going to tell us, Hillary, about the good times with Ghislaine. You're just going to be like, yeah, I didn't really know her. I didn't really know who she was. And then my
yeah,
daughter, who like is going on vacation with her, like I didn't
yeah.
have any conversations with her. I didn't know she was even getting invited to the wedding. It was only because we had another
Dude,
friend.
the fucking picture of her, yeah, at the like peeping down the aisle. But fucking, I'm like 98% sure because I think this is also something I referenced earlier when we were talking about Chelsea hanging out with Ghislaine. But there is definitely like at least one story I remember of Chelsea, Hillary, and Bill all staying at Zorro Ranch. Like I'm positive that that
I
happened at least
mean, that
once.
just checks out to
Uh,
me. That
like
just
I mean,
checks out to
like I
me. I don't
know
know. I
that
think
that
that's
happened. I
true.
just can't remember. I just there's some like weird specifics where it's like I think Bill and fucking Jeffrey were like talking business all day, and like Chelsea or Hillary are like riding horses all day, which is also just fucking bizarre. Can you imagine being a fucking Spanish like maid at Zora Ranch and having zero idea? Like really what's happening around you if you don't speak English or anything, and you're just like seeing the most horrific shit, or just
Oh
like also
God.
like seeing like very important and powerful people go in and out and just being like, well, I have to clean up their plate after they left for lunch, or you know, they were oh, anyway. But I mean, it's just yeah, it's just crazy. The stuff with the
Yeah.
Clintons is really the most bizarre because Bill, like, I mean, it's the meme of his deposition when he's flipping through it and he's smiling. But it's like
Yeah.
I truly do think that he like loved hanging out with them. If they were hanging out that much, dude, I think that he
I
like
know.
yeah, it was like that's my guy. Which I mean, because there's he also again Bill Clinton like kind of jokingly and well known sexual creep, like
Yeah.
I mean in
Well, they
every
brought that
way.
up to Hillary too. They're just like, you're accusing Trump, like, because she does kind of go scorched earth on Trump, which is like
Yeah, of
obvious
course.
because she's in a very which is again the most bizarre thing with Trump is reporters are just like, yeah, Bill and Hillary are going to testify about Epstein. What do you think of that? And he's like, oh, I think it's terrible. I think it's a terrible thing. It's like, yeah, that's your position on every topic, that you like the Clintons and you don't want them to like what? Like that doesn't even pass the smell test. Like you could be a diehard MAGA person, and when Donald
Mhm.
Trump says he doesn't want the Clintons to face tough questions,
Yeah, like give me a
that's
break.
absolutely that's
He
like
was he was
he's
calling he
almost
was
too
trying to get her in
authentic for his own
prison.
good. Wait, sorry, what?
I was gonna say he was calling for her to be in prison 10 years ago.
I
Like
know.
what
It
the
makes
fuck are we
no
doing?
sense. It's like you think it's a terrible thing that they're asking the Clinton. It's like, okay, but a terrible thing in what like he's like my vibe with Trump and the implications on any of this is the way he gets away with it is that he's on Air Force One and he goes like, I don't think I'm heaven bound. And
Yeah.
it's like that's a bar. Like that's like hilarious. He's a gangster. It's like the Freddie Gibbs album, Alfredo 2, right? Where he goes like
Oh my god.
there's a bar in that album where he says like the uh the cops are parked outside my like house, Mar-a-Lago, right? He says
Ah,
Mar-a-Lago as like the punchline of this song. And it's like, yeah, that's why people like Trump, is the fact that has this
like a
like kind of
criminal.
he is a criminal. Like he literally is like he is one of the most gangster presidents, in the sense that they literally tried to like throw him in jail, and they tried to do it off of fake shit. So when you start to go after him for like him being basically a playboy, which is, Trump was friends with Epstein through being a playboy. And again, where I get with it, where I get really confused with any of this is all these documents got dropped, and there was some crazy damning shit with Trump that was like
With
just
Trump, yeah.
crazy, like evil, like stuff. You
Well,
read it,
so
and
yeah,
again,
so
some
the
of it might be fake. Like I said, the Nasser thing to me, like I
I don't know
didn't
about the
seem
Nasser
any,
thing, but yeah,
but
but
there's a
there
lot of like credible, like where you're like, okay, but why did Joe Biden not use any of this? Like, why
no,
did
well, exactly. It's
it doesn't
crazy.
make any sense? Like, that's what makes the whole thing. Like, if Joe Biden, if we had heard any of this, like in 2020, I would be like, okay. But the fact that it's all coming out now makes me think that like a
Yeah,
Democratic, like, didn't think the Democrats didn't think they could get him with this, which might just be
yeah,
because like it's not like enough evidence and like because I do think the courts are not really prime for like the he said she said situation
right.
is like not really the advantage of like the
Well,
American legal
yeah,
system. But Joe Biden is clearly like one of the most brain dead people ever because it's like the dude had all of this shit. Like, why did you like why did you
yeah.
not bring up
Well, I
you
literally
bring up
think that
he's a
like,
Russian agent. You're like, yeah, Vladimir Putin has him on a joystick. It's like, okay. What about what about the
well,
fact
I
you have
literally,
documents of him like eating a baby? Like, what about that?
right. Yeah, like we can get him on literally, like yeah, we can flip the narrative from being like we're the baby eaters to them very quickly.
Yeah.
But I literally think that like maybe is just that they just didn't trust Biden's, or either they didn't trust and they weren't going to go for it, or actually, now that I'm saying this, they probably were just like, no, let's just let him be cool. Let's just let him eat ice cream. You know, he'll be a normalcy president, and we'll just ride it
Well, they
out.
didn't play to win. Like the you know
Yeah,
the
I think
because
they
I
just
don't
really
know.
underestimate everything. They just think that we can just like they can be cool, or like you know what I mean, that they can just like
Oh
I don't
man,
know, run on like marketing and campaigns and semantics and stuff, and then like not follow through when like most like leftists who can read through like false claims or false promises will just not vote. So then
right.
like
Well, the shit
yeah,
with Gaza is like what really fucked up like Kamala. I feel like and just
yeah, of
the
course, especially in Michigan, dude.
yeah yeah
Because
no
she
I
went to
mean
fucking Detroit and told people to like shut up or whatever, where she was like I'm
crazy.
speaking or whatever, which is like
And then
that is
she
the dumbest thing you could have done for your campaign.
yeah,
The
and she's like,
dumbest.
yeah, I don't disagree with almost anything Joe Biden did as the president. You're like, okay. I always thought that the Butler rally smelled like shit. Kim Cheadle was, the woman who infamously said that we couldn't go onto the roof because they were sloped. She said we couldn't stop the assassin's bullet from we couldn't stop Trump from almost getting a dome piece on national TV
Oh,
because we didn't want to put the Secret Service in danger. And Kim Cheadle, she was the head of the Secret Service. She went and testified. Everyone ripped her to pieces. AOC ripped her to pieces. Everyone was fucking furious at this lady. And then she resigned in disgrace. And that was it. No investigations into
yeah.
her.
This is
Nothing
the
else.
blonde woman that resigned or whatever,
No, she was a brunette.
or is this more
So
recently?
Kim Cheadle, this is the Butler rally. This is the head of the Secret Service when Thomas Matthew Crooks got on a roof and tried to kill Trump in the
Right, right.
2024. Kim Cheadle is literally the one. She was literally in Dick Cheney's Secret Service detail during 9/11,
Interesting.
and she evacuated Dick Cheney, the guy who goes back and forth on if he shot down an American plane on that day or some shit, whatever the story is, right? She evacuated him to safety. So she's the head of the snake. She was the head of Joe Biden's Secret Service for years. And it seems like she prioritized Jill Biden's Secret Service coverage that day, the day in Butler. That being said, in real time, I did not put it past, the arms running the Biden administration that they would have been desperate after that debate performance from Biden where he got destroyed against Trump to try to kill Trump. That's what I thought in real time.
Mm.
But I didn't have that much of a strong opinion on it because I couldn't prove that, really. As time has gone on, I thought to myself, oh, if Biden did that, Trump is going to look into it. We're probably going to get some kind of answer on this. Joe Kent, who literally resigns out of protest of the Iran war, he comes forward and he says, not just me, but another person in the Trump administration tried to look into Butler, and we were told to stop investigating. And the same thing happened with the Charlie Kirk assassination, that multiple arms of the US government were told to stop investigating a major political assassination. When I hear that, I'm just like, okay, all bets are off. I mean, I don't even want to speculate on Butler in this moment. It does seem like this weird handshake deal because Kamala Harris they announced that Kamala is the nominee days after Butler.
Mm.
And it totally changes the story. It totally changes the news cycle. The whole thing, I remember being kind of following one thing after another happening, right? Like the Trump Biden debate, Trump Butler assassination attempt, and then Biden is kind of pushed out, even though he's on the record being like, I don't want to get pushed out. He's like, I will run again.
Oh yeah, when there was just about a week when they were like, "Get out of here, old man." When they were really
Yeah.
trying to, that's crazy.
And
That
Kamala
feels like
came in.
years ago.
Yeah. Kamala came in within a week of the Butler assassination attempt. It was at least a week at most because the whole narrative shifted in real time. And again, at the time I was like, this whole thing is seems like a Hail Mary from one political party that really doesn't want Trump to be the
Ah,
president. But why would Trump shoot down investigations into that? That starts to make you think, what the hell even is this? Is this whole again, it's definitely not fake because people did die. The question is, did he get shot on the ear? That's the ultimate
yeah.
question because someone got shot in the face. Someone got killed. At least one or two people were killed. And
Mm.
in that case, I don't think Trump. And again, Tim Dillon makes this great point too. Do you think that the brains of Kash Patel, you look at all the faults of this administration, and then you're going to go, okay, but flawlessly execute an assassination attempt also. You know what I mean? They're just not that good at it. So
Yeah.
it does
Yeah.
seem to
What?
me that
Yeah.
it does seem to me that I start to think it's a weird uniparty thing. It becomes a weird I become my most conspiratorial some part of the establishment or I don't know, whoever that would be, right? And Joe Kent, national security advisor and all this, we can go into this another time. It's just a lot to get into at the
Mm.
very end here. But he seems to indicate that all of this seems to have some implication with the Iran war. Obviously, Charlie Kirk. I mean, Charlie Kirk was an outspoken critic against war with Iran, and he gets brutally assassinated in a one shot, spectacular, one of the most.
Yeah.
I,
Well,
I
have you
don't
heard
believe
that?
for a second a random person did that. That's literally
Yeah, that's
a staged
insane. Well, have you heard the
operation.
theory? The theory that that there was a bullet in his microphone.
Yeah, I've been hearing that, and that does seem possible because
That
the
when you look at the video and you hear that, I don't know shit about guns, I will say, whatever,
yeah.
but it
Well, I've seen
kind
some
of looks
credible gun
plausible
people.
because
Yeah,
his shirt
yeah,
goes
yeah.
out when where it looks like it's being fired, because it also doesn't break, it doesn't look like it's being
Right.
shot out, and then because it goes back in and it looks like he's being directly, yeah, just shot. upwards or
Yeah, and then
whatever.
Candace
Upwards in the
showed
neck
the
and stuff.
footage like on her show where it's like
Yeah,
you
it's
see the
nuts.
backward, you see the angle from behind, and there's no exit wound.
Yeah.
And I've heard gun people explain this, and this is okay. So this is the ultimate thing that people, if anyone got this far in the podcast, they're just going to be mad that we don't get to talk about this like assassination like in detail. But we could do an episode on this
If
one
you're still
day.
here,
Why
you're a
not?
trooper. We'll still, yeah, we definitely will.
But the Martin Luther King Jr. assassination, similarly, they said it was a 30-06 bullet and never found the bullet. You know, like he seemed to be shot from a completely different angle and all of
Yeah.
this shit because all these
Also
like
was
gun
blackmailed
experts online.
before, like a
Oh yeah,
similar CIA
the,
thing that they
yeah.
do.
The FBI is like on the record being like, "Kill yourself, Martin Luther King," and like
Yeah.
we're
You
supposed
cheated
to
on your
accept that
wife.
as yeah, we're supposed to accept that the FBI, like literally, like the mainstream idea of Martin Luther King is like that our own intelligence agency was telling like one of the greatest heroes in American history to kill himself, and we're supposed to think that they never would have tried to kill him. On top of that,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so that's one of the aspects of the MLK assassination is apparently they say it's a 30-06 bullet, and now all these gun experts are talking about Charlie Kirk. And apparently a 30-06 will like fly through a tree trunk. It'll like
Oh,
explode.
like explode. Like it's like
It'll
a,
like
you know.
explode like a gazelle's thigh. And
Oh.
Andrew Colvett or whoever the hell, like someone who's in the inner circle of Charlie Kirk. I didn't really know anything about Charlie Kirk before he was assassinated. I like knew of him. I didn't know anything about. I didn't really know much about him. But then one of his good friends goes like, "Yeah, I just talked to a trauma doctor and it's a miracle. Charlie's neck stopped the bullet."
Oh,
It's like,
wait, really? Wait, this is a
I
thing he
swear to
actually
God,
said?
heart to heaven. This is what happened.
But he said this in real life?
Yeah, Andrew Colvett, a guy who's like friends with Charlie Kirk, posted on X that Charlie Kirk's neck was like steel and it stopped a bullet that usually goes through tree trunks.
Interesting.
And so now we're supposed to believe, which is what the FBI wants us to believe, that Tyler Robinson used his old grandfather's rifle, like a hunting rifle that would basically decapitate someone if they're shot in the
Yeah.
neck. And there's no exit wound, and they didn't find the bullet. And
His head
the
is still
forensics
attached. He was able to speak to this guy. Like,
and Tyler Robinson like took the rifle apart and then he put it together and then he took it apart and then he put it together like
well, yeah,
5 times.
that's the craziest thing is that turned me on to the idea that this is like has more weight to it is that those photos of him like allegedly with the gun in his pant leg
Yeah, in his pants.
and he's
It's a
running and
huge
stuff
ass
and you're like,
gun.
oh dude, that gun is way bigger. Yeah, and there is like people that are like I never would I try not to be the guy who's swayed by like Instagram reels of you know, stuff like that. But there was one where a guy just had the gun that he allegedly had used, and he was like, "I'm going to show you how big it is when I unfold it, and you know, like I'm going to try to put it in my pants and everything." And it was like way different than what the guy in the
Yeah.
video looks like he has, or you know, whatever. So you're like, "All right, man." Like it's just I don't believe. Yeah, like that's
No,
you
it
know,
does not
clearly there's
pass
something
the
going on
smell.
because if like it just even goes back to like I don't know, you know, like JFK level shit, where you can just
Oh
say
yeah.
that it is this and or that like they can just get a doctor and hire when RFK or not RFK when Bobby Kennedy was shot there was like a whole thing where his like what is it called who's the
Autopsy
doctor
doctor or something.
autopsy doctor yeah geez I had a brain fart his doctor was like new, so he like was bad at his job. Like, and they hired. It seemed like that.
Yeah, they love doing
The
that.
Kennedy family, yeah, was like they hired this guy.
Someone with
You know,
no
so like
experience.
it's not always yeah like actually doctors with like legitimate ill intent. It's like they do shit like that because there's this documentary from like the '70s where they talk about Bobby Kennedy's assassination, and like they cross cut with like what actual witnesses say when he was shot and what the doctor says, and it's like completely different, you know.
Oh my
So it's
god.
like that shit always like plays into like a weird part, or like it's ignorance plays into it with this weird kind of outside force thing where these people are not aware that they're kind of being set up to also fail in some of these scenarios necessarily. I don't know if this is whatever. I'm kind of rambling anyway.
No, it's true. I think that definitely has like a part to play. And we can probably do a fuller episode, but yeah,
Yeah,
Joe
we
Penn
could
said
do.
some shit like
Yeah.
he said that he's basically implied it, but the idea, and Candace has said this, and I think Candace has like I'm annoyed by her in the sense that I do get that she was friends with Charlie and like she's like really upset about it and like she can't let it go. And I think she's definitely right to question a lot of this. But then when she starts saying that like the French like Foreign Legion did it, I'm just kind of like, okay.
Did she say that?
Yeah,
I
she
was
said
not
the
aware of
French
that.
Foreign Legion. It's like, okay, but you can't connect in that Brigitte Macron is a man to
Yeah,
like
because just
to Charlie
fucking
Kirk. Like that doesn't make any sense at all.
in
Like
fucking October, she was talking about an Israel connection.
but yeah, exactly. That's the whole idea that everyone is like obsessed with, right? And she starts saying that,
Yeah.
which on its face doesn't make any sense because the Israelis are they're pissed off at France because France is pushing back a little. Again, I don't even think they're pushing it back a lot on Israel, but they're pushing back a little bit on Israel, and Israel's like, "Fuck you," like. So, like the idea that they're connected together, it's possible, but I'm just like, don't talk about France with this shit. Like, I think what she's right about is that there were like foreign cell phones there. I mean, Fred Zinn, right, is the guy that pulled his pants down and said, I did it. Like after
Oh, I
Charlie.
don't know about this.
Oh my god. We got to just come back and do another episode. But yeah, a guy got arrested for screaming, I shot him at the
Whoa.
assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Wait, when and he pulled his pants down?
He got arrested,
Oh,
like,
wait, is
and
this
there's
the old
video of him
guy?
with like his pants or yeah, the old guy.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
I sort of know this, but like,
it's
you know,
insane. And then
there's so many details, like you said, yeah. Like there's so
so,
many
but
weird, yeah.
Candace is completely right. Sorry, George Zen.
Mm.
George Zen is what his name was. He literally starts and he gets arrested, and then they charge him with having child porn on his phone.
Yes. Oh, dude. Okay, yes. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah.